Hello everyone and welcome to my review of Starcraft 2. One of the greatest RTS games that many people know of, especially Koreans, seeing that most of the top players are Korean, sadly. Anyway, um, so pretty much, this is a pretty nice thing because the story actually does continue from the first actual series of games. I mean, StarCraft 2, hello. Okay, so pretty much, you are Raynor, and Raynor, from the first game was pretty young, but now he's pretty old. You can see he's pretty white. He has white on him now, and yeah, so pretty much, it's pretty amazing, really. Everything you can do is pretty much based off of what decisions you can make and things like that. Because they didn't have that in the other one, I don't think I remember. It's been a while, I'd have to play the first one again. Either way, but pretty much you can make decisions. Like for instance, if you're going to save a civilization by, or try to save one anyway, by trying to find a cure to fix zergification, I think it's called, and then there's the other decision, which is just kill all the infected humans that are turning into Zerg gunners. I don't know what to call them really. Either way, and it's so amazing that you can actually choose what you do and don't do, and it really affects the story, and it gives the player a sense of how they can actually choose to do whatever they want. Now, of course, there's the three races that were in the first game, the Zerg, Protoss, and the last one being humans, otherwise known as Terran. Now, I'm a Protoss player, so if I go a little too in-depth with Protoss, that's just me, and that was just my phone. Ignore it. Anyway, so pretty much, let me think. Oh, right, of course, the graphics. So pretty much you can have a whole bunch of, avatars that, come with each of the races, and each unit has their own avatar. Now, of course, they're really in depth, and you can actually choose between whether or not you want a 2D model or a 3D model. Now, a 2D model is just a basic, this is what they look like, technically speaking. Or the 3D model, which is them moving around in the little portraits and stuff like that, and it's pretty amazing that way. Now, of course, there's also the zooming in detail, as in like you can actually zoom in on each of your units and you can actually choose to have, and you can actually zoom in and you can actually see in detail what they look like. You can even see in detail how their fighting works, as in every time they shoot they actually do move their arm and you see a little missile coming out of them. I'm talking about Marauders, of course. I don't think there's really anything else. And whenever they slash, you can actually see uh, the Zealots actually be able to hurt the unit exactly on time. And that's pretty unique. Now, of course, the Terran has a few improvements. Like, for instance, they have, well, first off, they still have the side buildings, which kind of annoys me. Reason why I don't use the Terran is because of the whole entire idea of having a building, and then you have to actually build something next to it in order to increase production or let you increase how much technology you have on the Terran side. And then there's also supply depots, which has this awesome effect where you can actually build a supply depot and have it go underground. Now that's a pretty nice technique to me because I really, really like having the idea of having like a little gate or something that keeps it so you can keep your units going out from your base, but you can have it so that it goes back up when there's an enemy attack, so that you know they don't just overrun your base like crazy. At least you'd have some time to get some units in the middle of the base. Now the Zerg, of course, have a few nice improvements. Of course, they are pretty odd. Like for instance, the Queen now has the ability to, I can't remember if it was in the old game. I didn't really play Zerg that much in the first version, so sorry if I'm telling a lie here, but the Queen can actually spawn larvae in order to create the ability, I mean, well, in order to create more units because these larvae have the ability to hatch into different uh, units or, well, still units, but the other one is these little guys known as I can't remember their name actually. Huh. Either way, and they're pretty much the building unit, and pretty much you can have them go for mining. They can actually go with gas, as in they actually go over to the gas thingies and morph into these buildings. Now, morphing is also kind of odd because the Zerg, what they do is the builder unit is sacrificed in order to make the buildings in order to actually work. And another thing about the Zerg is also you can't build anything on top of normal land. You actually have to have corrupted area around you. Now, of course, I love hand gestures, so if you see me waving my hand around, yeah, that's pretty much what I'm trying to show you. It's very fun to do. Anyway, so let me think. I kind of got off topic there, so I'm just gonna keep going. So the Zerg, of course, are pretty unique in the fact that I have no idea how to play them right. I know how to create hydralisks whenever there's flying units or something like that. I know what the units do, it's just I don't know exactly the timing. I always just rush things through, so I always go with the third race, the Protoss, because they're fun, they're easy, and I know most of the stuff that you can do with them, or any of the rushing techniques you can do. So let's start with the building concept. Um, just like the Zerg kind of, you can't build anything in certain areas, as in you have to actually build stuff in these set areas where these pylons create energy in order to power up your buildings. Now, when a pylon is destroyed next to the building, you better have another pylon, otherwise that building does not work. Or anything around that area of the pylon doesn't work. You always have to have multiple pylons in order to keep yourself alive, otherwise one pylon, yeah, I'm just gonna go after your pylon. I'm not going after your buildings. Anyway, so then there's the cloaking system is very improved. Really improved, I mean. Like, when you have these units called a Dark Templar, what happens is in detail, the cloaking actually looks like maybe Halo kind of cloaking. Like you can kind of see them, but you still can't. So at least you can see them, but all the other players cannot see your cloaked units. Now this can be fixed with having like I can't remember what the Terran has for it. I think it's something around a Banshee kind of thing. But the Protoss has observers to see underground, see anything that's hidden, like a lurker from the Zerg or something like that. Now, you people may not know what all these terms are, but if you go on the site, it'll actually say what each unit does and what they look like and things like that. Now, of course, there's other features like the mothership. You can only have one mothership. It's huge though. Like it takes up maybe half your army if you have them all underneath it. It. I'll say her. I guess I could say it, but either way. And the mothership actually has the ability to warp any of your units to its location. Anyway, and geez, I'm kind of mixing up my terms here. And also there's Vortex, which lets you uh, drag in all the enemy units into this little warp hole for a few seconds so that you can take out everything around and with the anything around that wasn't sucked into the vortex, and then when they get out of the vortex you can kill them because there's less of them. So let me think. Then there's also abilities, and I have to stop saying let me think now I think about it. Anyway, so abilities is also pretty improved, let me think. There's a hallucination ability by the Sentinels, if I remember correctly. I can't remember the name of them. Either way, and pretty much they have the ability to warp units to them. Like, for instance, say you wanted Zealots, just to keep it simple. then it'll summon two zealots into its location, and the enemy does not know exactly what is attacking them, except for the fact that if they have, say, a Zerg had an observer overlord, whatever they're called, then they'll pretty much beat them. Like, they'll actually know exactly what your illusioned units look like, which is why I choose the color purple, because at least with purple, not very many people can tell what the difference is between what a hallucination is and what an actual unit looks like. And also, I mean, this game has a lot of in-depth thinking. Like, you have to know exactly what you're doing, otherwise you'll lose. Like, for instance, if you don't know what the other race's units are, I suggest you start studying up, because you'll need to know. Now, the multiplayer is also improved and also changed a bit. The PvP is still there, but there's also other things like mini games, which are my favorite thing in the world, which is like tug of war, which lets you build these buildings, and the buildings pretty much send out units without you ever having to actually send them out yourself. Now, um, then there's also the tower defense, which is also one of my favorites, because what happens is you build these towers, otherwise known as units pretty much, in front of these portals that send out more units, and you pretty much have to try to get rid of all these units by, yeah. And it works exactly like a tower defense game, except the one I'm on is always this 4-player versus 4-player kind of version, where you can summon other units that join the units that attack your enemy team. And you can't also see what your enemy team is doing. There's a fog of war on that side. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, so I suggest you do check this game out, because it does receive 5 out of 5 for an RTS game. It's way better than an RTS game should be. Now, you can buy this game, of course, at www.megagamingstore.com, where you can buy, well, the best place to buy video games online. Now, I'm looking at this little cheat sheet because I haven't memorized the slogan, and yeah. But, yeah, so see y'all soon when I review something else.